Make sure we talk about ways to bring climate justice into the space. Make sure we look at indigenous people's lives. Make sure we think about how do we keep this earth in a better place. Mother Nature deserves better. And for those on top of the table, big up to you. For those who are underneath, I'm saying we love you. For all the... Are we rebellious? Are we rebellious? Thank you to every rebel who's come out today. Thank you for coming and fighting and creating this legacy. Each person, talk to your neighbor, think about the solutions, tell us what we need to do to make this better. We are all in this together. We owe it to do better for this environment. Thanks to all those behind the scenes in XR who have done all the work. The stewards, the Samba, everybody, but we've got 10 days to do this. So, power to the people! Power to the people! People got the power! People got the power! Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you hear it? We're getting stronger by the hour! Getting stronger by the hour! Power! Power! People! People! Power! Power! People! People! We'll get you some up now, so this is what democracy looks like. This is what equality sounds like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what equality sounds like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what equality sounds like. The people united can never be defeated. Thank you so much. And we're all gonna chill, have some food. We ain't going nowhere. Thank you, Babini. And also just make sure, keep showing some love to everybody in this space because you all deserve it.
And that is Marvina, our beautiful sister, who shakes up the ground, and I'm glad that we've got some shifting of energy here. And now I'm going to bring probably some calmness. I'm going to try and tune that in, because really what we're needing to bring here is some love and care, which is what's driven us to the streets. And today we've got lots and lots of different cameras around, lots of media. And what I want you to do when you're focusing in, when you're having a moment or you're feeling anything, is to come to grace with it, because we are going to be this is disruption, and we're going to feel disruption within ourselves. So the first place to start when we sit in these spaces is, how are you feeling? Do a temperature check with yourself. What is the feelings that are radiating within you? Because we need you to transform that energy, ground yourself, and come back into the space when you can. Because remember, there may be your neighbor or someone around you that you don't know, but is feeling anxious or nervous or feeling something. Let's try and look after each other, look within ourselves and out of ourselves when we hold this space. Because this space is beautiful. It's worth protecting and holding this space today. So we can do this if we look out for each other in making sure that we're keeping check that they're safe and healthy. And that means giving someone a smile. I know, we've all forgotten because we've been wearing masks. Give everybody next to you a smile, please. Turn around to each other. Smile. Because we can do that. We can shift the energy in this space. Give each other a smile. Just look around, please. Look around you, circle around you, give a smile to each other. Because these are your neighbors, these are your sisters, these are your brothers. And today we come together as a family to have a dialogue and show this government what a family looks like and how we come to answers of solving problems that are on our table. Because collectively, that is what we're doing here today, is we're coming together, looking around us, having a conversation, trying to find some answers, and then through those answers, we're looking to ensure that this government understands That's where the power of the people is. We know how to look after each other. We know what is needed and necessary. And what we need to be able to do is all come together on that very dialogue and then go outwardly, after we do leave these spaces and go home, is to take those lessons and pass them on. Because that's the essential work here. Whilst our government is failing us, the rebels in this space, is our work here to look after each other and take those messages and make them broad, because we need tens and tens of thousands of people to get that we are no longer in a safe environment. Our planet is on fire, and when our planet is on fire, we need to, especially as elders, as brothers and sisters, as those with privilege, is to stand first, because that is privilege. When you stand first, it means you are exercising something that other people don't have. Whether that be shelter, whether that be mental health, whether that be physical health. These are all things that prevent other people from being a rebel with you. Remember that. Stand in earnest to know that you are standing for others as well when you come into this space. And this is the point that we make, is when we stand for each other, we make more impact. So this is what we are looking to do in this space. I know that it's going to feel very claustrophobic, and that's okay, because guess what? We've got each other. And look at my brothers and sisters. Aren't we beautiful? Have a look around. Look at the beauty here. Look at the magic that we are seeing here. And know that no one can break magic. Not universal magic, universal laws. No amount of greed, corporation and toxic governments can take that. The universal law is what governs this planet, and we are part of that. We are not separate. We need to tune into that togetherness, because that's what is going to hold us together here today. Let's see if I can persuade another person to come and give it another one. Are you going to give us another little short, sharp energy burster? Come on, Mavs.
Energy, 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 energy. Do you know what? You've been sitting for a bit. We're going to do some activities, so I know your circulation's still working, okay? So get up and sit down. That's all I need you to do. I just need you to get up and say, get up, get up, hands up, shake it all about, and let them just relax, you know, and then turn to the person next to you and then say, you are rebellious. Turn to the next person and say, you are rebellious. I need some sass with it, because I'm saying you're doing a good job. I just saw that. That was a lot of sass. I like that. Let's do it again. You are rebellious. Ooh, you are rebellious. And now I want you to take that energy, and while we're here, we're just in the ground. Me, I love my prayers, so I'm going to speak spiritually. I pray to the ancestors and pray to the universe and make sure things go according to plan. Ancestors, I speak into the space as everybody is standing in unity. As we talk and speak about climate justice, the environmental change, I ask for you to manifest our desires. We do not need to take permission from anyone, but we stand in your truth. We take care of this earth. As we do that, we are blessed. We have no plan B, but we are the legacy of change. Ashe, ashe, amen. So guys, sit down. See, energy, I know, that was a cool exercise. I think that was fun, I know. You guys thought I was gonna do something really cool, innit? No, there's no Dragon Ball Z moment here. No Kamehameha, this is just it. You just have to take this. But when we're doing this, can I get Millie? Oh, lavender somewhere. anyone have a guitar just hanging around? Anyone? Guitar? No guitar? Anyone got a guitar? We got a guitar! Everybody give a round of applause for the person with the guitar! Can we borrow it? This is all about love and sharing the love. We love that. We love the energy in the space. Music is... Art is political in everything we do, and we want to say thanks to the press who are telling the truth. Free the press all the time. We believe that when we have the right people in the right space talking and telling us the truth, we are blessed. This is the wonderful lavender. She will make it work. So this queen, this amazing, I do this for you. You're not shy, you can do this. This person has taught me what it means to be an ally. This person has taught me what... You've made me actually love XR a little bit more. You and Snowball, who's hiding in the corner. And her voice is so magical. That is something beautiful. We did not expect to get that. And she's... It's not... No. She needs a guitar. I'm so sorry. Well, thank you so much.
Extinction! 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 Extinction Rebellion! This is the impossible rebellion! You are the impossible rebellion!
Anybody can sit there if you want.
We are the impossible rebellion! And what we need in this crisis right now, we need people across all different divides in society to come together, to sit around the table and discuss how we solve this crisis, because the government down there have failed us. The government down there have let emissions continue to rise, and that is not okay. What we need is a democracy run by, for, and all people together. So what we did today is we put a table right here in the centre of London to invite London to the crisis talks. And what have the government done? They've stopped London coming to the table. They've stopped Londoners coming to be able to talk to us. They have not allowed anyone else to come here, and that is a disgrace. Are you with me? But this rebellion doesn't just stop here. We know that mass non-violent civil disobedience has worked time and time again throughout history. Not with one-day marches, not with individual action, but when we all pull together, we come together around the table and we stay here day after day after day. This rebellion will continue. And what we need everyone who is here around the table to do is stay right here, sitting down around the table, because pretty soon we're going to run some crisis talks of our own. Who wants to run a crisis talk right here in the centre of London today? Extinction! 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 Power to the people. The people got the power. Tell me, can you hear us? Getting stronger by the hour. Power. People. People. Power. Power to the people. The people got the power. Tell me, can you feel it? Getting stronger by the hour. A power, a people, a people, power, power, a people, a people, power. We are powerful when we come together like this. And this right here, it might not feel like much, you just sitting your bum on the tarmac here. But when we all do this together, day after day, that is how we win this. This is how we win. 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 Let me hear you, Long Acre. This is how we win. This is how we win. Extinction Rebellion, you are fantastic. And we're going to keep rebelling until this government meet our demands. This week, next week, we're going to keep going until we stop fossil fuels, keep them in the ground, and until we get people to come around the table in citizens' assemblies. Let's get a cheer for everything we've done so far.
Hell yeah. We're going to have a little bit of music now. From our lovely Rebel K, who just happened to have a bouzouki. They didn't know they were going to be performing to you all today, so this is what it's all about, the courage, standing up, the sharing your voice.
And it's quite appropriate because it's all to do with how a lot of the change that's coming in the world is to do with water, it's to do with rains it's to do with ice caps melting, it's to do with places drying out. Everything comes back to water. It's what we need to live, and it's what we need to stabilise. And while we're heating the planet up, we can't do that. So this is a song in celebration of water, but also in grief of losing its natural places. You remember
The government is failing in its duty to protect us and the world's population. And you are the remedy to this. Keep heart, keep faith, and keep going. Extinction! 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 I know that everybody here wants to centre climate justice within this narrative. We know that the countries where people look like me, like my friend Bavini, who's disappeared now and I can't see, Sister Esther, Marvina, I don't know your name, brother, I'm very sorry, I apologise. Gerald, those countries are being left behind. They're being left to burn, flood, without anyone giving a shit. I'm being blatant here, I can't be bothered to not swear. You guys must centre climate justice, because if we're going to repair, stop the harm, you have to start with our countries. The brothers and sisters that are not here to speak, you must speak for. You must speak for. We're heading for 1.5 degrees. We really know it's 3 to 4 degrees. And as a descendant of West Indian background, I'm so fucking angry I can't tell you. We've got a group of my ancestors who died during slavery, managed to fight the overlords, and I am standing on the backs of them because they chose to fight and survive, and I am here in this country because they did. And now the climate crisis, because of other countries, are willing to let my island of Grenada and the West Indies go to the wall for money. You can't eat money. You can't eat it. You need water. You need the forests. You need the animals. And I'm so proud to be with every single one of you here. My legs are shaking at the moment because I'm so damn angry. But I'm glad to be angry with you. Thank you.
I want to thank my beautiful, beautiful rebel friend here, Alfie, who has taken so much courage to come and stand here. Robin has taken so much courage to come and stand here. You know, it's exhausting to find that power within us, to tell our stories. Robin here literally was shaking up here because of the fury of the situation they find themselves in. Now remember, when you see a brown and black person, we are the resistance. My existence is resistance, people. My ancestors have stood and travelled 3 generations to be here because our climate was collapsing. Only now do people of my generation in this country realise the thread of the narrative of why we are here. My parents did not choose to bring me here. They were forced to bring me here. And so I must stand now with all of you, togetherness, to stand for all of those that don't have a place to call home. And there's thousands and thousands of them moving right now. There is no water, there is no shelter for them. So in that, we call upon all of you to hold hands and to be brave, because it's going to take every one of us to be as brave as each of our grandparents and parents were to be here. And on that note, I really want to introduce you to this amazing, amazing man. He is an amazing man. Can you give a round of applause here? Look at this beautiful, amazing man.
Greetings, family. When I say greetings, please say greetings back. That's how we do it. Greetings, family. It is a blessing to share this space with you, but it's not just a blessing, it's also a challenge to all of us here today. Because it's good to do the love and care and the lovely talks, but we're living in a very violent resistance, a very violent existence, a very violent reality. And so when we declared this rebellion on the City of London, it was more specific. It was more specific than us just coming to protest and talk about things that we already know. But let's speak about that. My name is Jerry. I'm one of the co-claimants on the Global Majority versus UK Government campaign.
We are currently in the courts with the UK government. That is your government. And that's because I, as an African heritage man with a British passport, I'm led to believe that the UK government is meant to safeguard my rights to life, which we know is a... I know there's children here, but allow me to swear and speak very honestly, because the first demand of exile, I think, is to tell the truth. And so the question we must ask ourselves is, whose truth? Because our truths are allowed to look and sound different. That's what global justice has to look like. Because we need to tell the truth and come to the middle and be honest about how we feel. So I'm going to swear and I'm going to be very honest. I'm led to believe that the UK government is meant to safeguard my rights. According to the Human Rights Act of 1998, that means our right to life. That means your right to life. That means my right to family life. That means my family in the global south. That means my family in Ghana, in Nigeria, across Equatorial Guinea. I'm also led to believe that this government is meant to safeguard my right to not be discriminated against. It's funny, I mean, this is something we should be either laughing about or be up in arms about. We know what the stats are, we know what the reality is, and right now they're passing how many bills which we know are discriminatory. So I've got a few asks and demands about what we need to be doing here today when we say tell the truth. Because right now, the UK government gave us a response. Because the truth is of how we've got here, is that the City of London, which grew fat off of the stolen plunder of my peoples, off of the peoples of Abiyala, off of the peoples of Asia, grew fat! Look around you, look at these buildings! It is built on the blood of real peoples! When we stand here, we look around and we see blood! That is our truth! And if you can't see it, allow us to believe that our truths are therefore different. We do not need saving because we've been saying this the whole time. You guys aren't, there's this issue about how we talk about, oh, this is something that we've done, so we need to fix it. No, you don't. If Britain was an empire, and if Britain is an empire, because that is what Boris Johnson says it is, Empire 2.0, if it is an empire, then you must understand that you too are colonized peoples of the world. And you're colonized enough to believe that you are white. You're not white, you're Europeans. You have your own heritages, you have your own ancestral traditions that have been violently removed from you in order to believe that you are British or something that is not even true. And so we need to follow the lines and find the real truth of the story. The UK government is only an administrator for global international financial capitalism, which is imperialism to the rest of us. And we've been talking about that for ages. And we still don't get it. So when we talk about Extinction Rebellion, who's extinction? That's what we call the Ma'angamizi. It's genocide. And that genocide has funded and continues to fund this existing state. There is nothing sustainable about the way we live. Because it's funded to this day on the exploitation of our peoples, of yourselves, of your futures, colonizing the futures of your children. But we can't just talk about this as a future issue because it is a current day reality. And so I should also speak about my family right now who are on the front line and have been resisting the realities of rising tides. But these things don't just happen because of the planet magically heals up. No, that's not true. The City of London to this day funds 15% of global carbon emissions. But let's not just talk about stats. What does that mean and what does that look like? What does that mean when billions of your taxpayer money, our taxpayer money, goes into financing fossil fuel extraction? And instead of hospitals for us, because there's not even enough hospitals here in the UK for when things really get bad. We thought COVID was bad. What happens when London itself is flooded? Who is going to do the adaptation? And this government has come out and outright denied that it's going to do that. And I'm going to be very explicit. Our campaign is very simple. We said to the UK government that you have a duty, according to the Human Rights Act and according to the Paris Agreement, to support vulnerable communities. That means yourselves here as well as our communities. To support adaptation measures and to regulate corporations and interests to 1.5 degrees. Because after 1.5 degrees, we know that we're talking about the total genocide of our peoples in the Caribbean islands. We know we're talking about mass displacement to the tune of 4 billion people displaced by the middle of this century. What will those people look like? These are my families, these are our families, these are our peoples. And so this thing, we can't talk about it like, we know it's urgent and we know it's happening right now, but it's not just about people suffering. It's about the people who are resisting and have been resisting. And that's why today's date is so important to us as a people. Because on this day 230 years ago, Our ancestors were leading a charge showing the world what actual emancipation looks like. So when we talk about we will win, what will we win? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. What type of future are we trying to win? Whose future are we trying to win? Because if we continue to be out here and protest for our freedom to live here in the UK, then all we are doing is protesting and acting to live at the expense of other peoples. Freedom at the expense of the majority world isn't freedom, it's exploitation. Call it what it is. And the City of London isn't even part of the UK. It's a corporation. It has its own laws, it has its own police force, it has its own courts. And that is who Boris Johnson, that's who the UK government, that's how the system are perpetuating these crimes. Because we're not only talking about 15% of carbon emissions funded through the City of London. We're not even talking about yet the overseas, still to this day, colonised territories that the British state still has, where they're hiding your taxpayer money in offshore havens to the tune of trillions, stealing African resources to the tune of trillions between 1980 and 2017. 947 billion was credited to the global economy by African states in the form of plundered thefts, in the form of our oil, in the form of our gold, in the form of our resources. During that, no doubt you are aware, we are all deeply, deeply implicated in the greatest crime against humanity that has ever been seen. And we're standing here not just to talk about love and care, because love can't just be this happy-go-lucky, how we feel today. It's not allowed to look like that, because that is not the reality for the majority of the world's peoples. So on whose side are we on? What are we winning for? What are we fighting for? And that's what we have to be. We have to be very honest about whose leadership that is and what we're prepared to win and resist for. Because people are dying for nothing. People are dying for nothing. So let's be prepared to die for something. And this police force funded again by our taxpayer money. The crimes, the level of crimes that we're talking about. Just a few weeks ago, I want to talk about our people's resistance both here and in the Global South, because just a few weeks ago, we held a people's tribunal led by our wonderful Auntie Esther in Brixton. We called it the Brixton hearing. And the people of Brixton found the UK government guilty of being an international criminal conspiracy. Because it is, and you know that. So start telling the truth and the whole truth. And so there's a lot of lies that we have to dispel. The IPCC report came out that no doubt so many of you would have read. And it said that humans caused this. That is a lie. Humans didn't cause it. The majority of the world's people did not cause this. And they've been out here speaking on it for the whole time. Our campaign has taken the UK government to court alongside our siblings who are out here telling us that the UK government for the longest time as a representative of Euro-American imperialism, which to this day still exists, needs to be held accountable. And so the government has started to answer to the realities that we're existing. Because how can you tell me that you are safeguarding the rights of my family when you're investing my own money into their deaths and their genocide? How can you tell me that? And you know what their reply was? Do you want to know what their reply was? People, are you with me still? Their reply that their failure to act on the climate act, on the climate agreement, on the Paris Agreement, sorry, and not only their inaction on climate, but their active contribution to climate, to the climate crisis, to global destruction, to genocide, ecocide, call it what it is, that their active contribution to it was, and I quote, reasonably and objectively justified. That is a direct quote from the UK government, that your deaths, famine, mass starvation, flooding, the displacement of billions of people is reasonably and objectively justified. Justified by who? Justified by whose laws? By whose objectives? Just according to whom? Not according to the majority world. Not according to us as peoples, if we're standing on that side of history. And that's what we have to be prepared to do. We have to be honest and know that when we talk about people power, it is only going to be us that are going to create the laws and the futures that we need. Because the Human Rights Act, the most basic principles that we are led to believe about the foundation of our society, human rights, something that we thought was universal, the government is now trying to weaken that act. Stop judicial review so we can't go to court. So if we're not on the streets, we can't go to court anymore. They're also trying to stop us be on the streets to tell the truth. And so we need to be honest about where the real change happens, when we take power. And so we've said that enough today. So let's start talking about what that looks like. Because if these are crisis talks, we need to be talking about organising very seriously to win. And if we're going to talk about organising very seriously to win, let's start laying some things on the table about what we can actively be doing. And I'm not just doing this to drum up support for the campaign, because this is your campaign. And your support will decide where it goes. But because we have to be very serious about the very fundamental contradictions of our society, which is that while we live here at the expense of people whose lands are stolen for the sake of British corporations traded here in this country, in your name, people around the world need to know that think it's being traded in your name, and you have to stand up and tell them, no, not in your name, not in our name. And you have to claim that back, because until that point happens, they're not going to believe that Extinction Rebellion means anything to them. Because it's whose extinction? And that's what they've been resisting. And so what does that organisation look like when our communities on the front line and our communities resisting are under-resourced by our own greed, by our own idolatry, by our own egos that think that we are going to be the people that fix it? No! Fix yourselves so that we can fix together and fix the planet. And what does that organisation look like? That's the question. That is the crucial question that we should be talking about right now. What does that adaptation look like from a government that says we have no obligation to safeguard your rights? How are you going to safeguard them? And how are you going to safeguard them not at the expense of other people's? In what mutual coordination and solidarity can you build something that is sustainable and defensible? And so we're promoting citizens' assemblies, people's assemblies, when people are taking the power back and knowing that only you are going to take the power back. People's tribunals that will put the system on trial and therefore create our laws and the rules by which we stand for. And then after that, to connect that struggle and to build those connections so that our own institutions of people power, real people power, not elected officials that we elect once every 4 years, but real people power that you are empowered to be involved in the whole time. That our institutions of power that we build wherever we are should be supporting the resistance.